Ms. Bluth,
Yes.
Mr. Chicklese,
Yes.
Ms. Fowler,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Missouri.
Yes.
Minutes from July 5th, 2022, public and executive, have been approved by a vote of 5-0. Abstention. And I'm going to do July 12th budget workshop and July 18th public and executive session minutes together. Would somebody please make a motion to approve those 3 minutes as presented?
I'll make that motion.
That was Fred, and who seconded it?
I'll second. Joe Chickalese.
Thank you. Peggy?
Ready? Mr. Missouri,
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat,
Yes.
Ms. Bluth,
Yes.
Mr. Chicklese,
Yes.
Ms. Fowler, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
And the minutes from July 12th budget workshop and July 18th public and executive session have been approved by a vote of 6-0. Public comment. Peggy, want to kindly give instructions?
Okay, so if you please raise your hand using the raise your hand, I can call on you. When it is your turn, please unmute, and you will have 3 minutes for your comment. Okay, Michael Bollentine.
Evening, Michael Bollington, 203 Maxwell. First, I would like to request a motion to extend my time in case I run over.
How much over do you believe you'll be going?
Maybe a minute or two.
We'll go ahead.
Thank you. Just wanted to update the council and those who are in attendance. Previously mentioned matter regarding the potential lawsuit against the borough. It's no longer a matter of hearsay. I'm in possession of the draft of the soon-to-be filed $42 million lawsuit against the borough for several violations of due process, to include failing to respond to a complaint of redress and demand. It's possible for the council to prevent this action from moving into the court and save the residents of the borough the potential burden of politically paying for the inaction of the borough council by amending the agenda tonight, so the council can adjust and discuss the matter. Some of the members know exactly which matter I'm referring to because they've been served notices. The council and as the governing body and as individuals are named in the draft, as are 3 parties employed by the borough. As a resident and a mayoral candidate, I'm kind of baffled as to why the council would not explore all viable options to generate revenue for the borough, especially a source that has an incredible potential to provide relief to the taxpayers. In closing, I would inquire if there are any problems with the borough emails, as I've tried to contact Ms. Bluth several times, to include certified mail and her council email, to arrange for the 2 of us to engage with residents for the purpose of our ideas and visions for the borough to be answered in front of the residents, so the voters can cast an informed and an educated vote for mayor next month. She hasn't responded to my direct attempts and has expressed that she was too busy when the League of Women Voters attempted to inquire as well. So I will again extend an invitation to my Zoom meeting Friday night. And I guess I went that a little faster than I thought. So thank you for the time.
Okay, Jean Seraphin.
My name is Eugene Surf, and I live at 628 South Main Street. I thought we had a law on the books that you cannot campaign during the public comment section. I thought that was one of the restrictions that we had. But beside that, bringing up things about sexual harassment, things like that at a council meeting, I see where it benefits no one. I see where that happens in many businesses, where you let them deal with it privately, and when the results come out, the courts and everybody else will take care of it. And we won't try it in public. Mr. Bolton wants to try whatever information he has publicly, rather than letting the council and the attorneys deal with it. I hope to God that he does not wind up as mayor. So I'm campaigning. It's interesting. We're inundated with Christian nationalism, racism, white supremacy. We're overwhelmed with Republican hatred, Republican lies, Republican strongholds, Republican Trump supporters, Republican idiocy. It's got to stop. I've had enough with this Republican trash that now inhabits our country. 95% of the people who support the Republican Party basically are the trash that supports Trump and the overthrow of our country. I was in the Marine Corps. I fought for our country. I served for our country. I did not expect a party of idiots to try to destroy our country through a coup on January 6th of 2021. You Republicans make me sick. You know, I have neighbors who are Republicans. I don't ask them what their viewpoints are. I don't really want to know. But it's a shame I have to think that guy may be a Trump supporter. Do I really want to associate with them? And aside from that, the Star Ledger and the Trenton Times and the NewJersey.com have an excellent article about Hightstown and Doug Mastriano and whether he got his viewpoints from living in Hightstown or not. It did Hightstown well to show who we are, what we are, a nice suburban community that treats its fellow citizens with respect no matter what their viewpoints are. You know, that's what you should be proud of. That even though, you know, Doug grew up here, we don't badmouth his family or him for having his viewpoints. That's his problem, not ours. Thank you.
Okay, Brian Fort.
Good evening, council members and Madam President. My name is Brian Ford. I live at 43 Norton Avenue inside the Enchantment Development. And I wanted to comment on a couple of issues. First off, I wanted to mention the recent street closure that was implemented by the ordinance passed by council back in, I believe, March or April of this year at North Main and Wyckoff Mills. I understand that the general purpose was to address some of the truck traffic that has been observed on Wyckoff Mills as well as North Main Street, traveling through the borough and into downtown. And I believe that the ordinance has been very effective in addressing that issue. From my observation, and I live adjacent to Wyckoff Mills Road, it was like flipping a switch, and almost overnight the truck traffic disappeared from Wyckoff Mills. And from what I can see, it's also been affected truck traffic on Main Street as well. I presume that much of that truck traffic has rediverted to the bypass and to 130, which is what the original, I think, road designers intended with the building out of the bypass, the Hightstown bypass. And so I wanted council to know that I'm very supportive of that. I think other residents are as well. I've been following some of the Facebook traffic on Holler About Hightstown, and there's certainly two schools of thought, and there are residents that were caught unaware or unaware of the change, that oppose the change, don't fully understand it or feel inconvenienced by it. But I think for whatever inconvenience that some folks may have in driving an additional 500 feet to access either Williams or Mama Street, to be able to get back to Wyckoff Mills is well worth the inconvenience as the trade-off to eliminating the truck traffic. So I want to thank council for that and let you know that I, as one resident, do support that. A couple other quick issues. I wanted to mention that in the minutes from the last meeting, there was a note the council is working actively to reduce taxes. I'd like to know how they're actively working to reduce taxes, since council voted a tax increase just a little over a year ago. And I'd like to know what those things are. And then the last two items, I noticed that a couple council members voted abstention on a couple of the issues before earlier in the meeting. And I'd like to call on council to explain their absentitious votes when those are made, so that citizens understand why they are abstaining on an issue. For example, is there a conflict of interest or some other reason that citizens should know why they're abstaining, as opposed to voting no or voting aye. I think it's very important to explain that kind of a vote. The last item is council continues to have Zoom meetings for these monthly meetings. I don't understand that. Society has generally returned to in-place meetings. Businesses certainly have, the private sector certainly has. Other government agencies have resumed normal operations. And it seems to me that this is a form of insulating yourself from the public and not obtaining full engagement with citizens. And even being able to socialize among yourselves in person, to be able to have the benefit of the dichotomy and the dialogue that occurs just before a meeting, after a meeting, during a meeting. I think it's important for all of you to reconsider your stance on doing these Zoom calls and get back to having in-place meetings. Thank you for your time. I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, Mr. Fort. Barbara Collapsa-George?
Hi, I am Barbara Collapsa-George. I live at 418 North Main Street. And I too just want to give some positive news about the changed Wyckoff Mill traffic pattern. In just 1 week, the hopefully long-lasting improvements to our town are apparent. Unsuspecting pedestrians who are crossing North Main at the flashing crosswalk need to worry less about risking their lives crossing a posted 25-mile-per-hour street, while cars can no longer zip around stopped traffic waiting to turn left onto Wyckoff Mill Road. Pedestrians are safer. Bicyclists. There are fewer cars using the bike lane as a speedy way to pass stopped traffic waiting to turn left on Wyckoff Mill Road, which means the bike lane can be used for bikes. Bicyclists are safer. Neighbors. This change makes it easier to back out of our driveways without being struck by speeding traffic, this time passing on the right. Neighbors are safer. Traffic volume. The amount of vehicles instantly decreased. Wyckoff Mill Road was a convenient bypass from the right on red at Town Center Drive to all points east. It's clear that the motorists who are now lost on our streets are not heading to downtown businesses. They are frantically looking for a quick cut through out of Hightstown or trying to squeeze through the space into wrong way traffic on Wyckoff Mill Road when the police aren't looking. These drivers now need to be directed to stay on Route 130 to the convenient official bypass straight to Route 33. Then Tiny William Street and Mama Street can be left alone. As expected, the variable message signs for vehicles approaching town were acting as an assistive device for police in controlling speed. More are needed, of course, but our roads are becoming safer. Truck traffic. Enormous trucks do not belong on borough streets. Wyckoff Mill Road is not a truck route. It became a heavily traveled entrance into the warehouses in East Windsor. We are surrounded by highways. Trucks need to be encouraged to use them. They are not delivering in town. Why were we making it so easy for them to pass through? Thankfully, there are fewer trucks heading up Wyckoff Mill Road, except for that one cement mixer that squeezes its way up the wrong way. Our hope is that reduced truck traffic on North Main will be the end result for all of Hightstown, which makes us all safer. In conclusion, the change you made in the North Main Street traffic pattern should be just the beginning, as it made a big difference. Clearly, traffic on North Main was out of control, as evidenced by the quick calming after this change. Forward planned thinking is essential now as you make quality of life in our town a priority before this area grows again. Some of you will remember the vision of Tamara Lee, our past borough planner many years ago. Safety and traffic control was her vision for Hightstown when the master plan was revisited, and she added islands and wider sidewalks to make the downtown safe and pedestrian friendly. The caring and proud residents of North Main Street thank you all for your time and effort in making this wise decision, and we're sure that if Tamara was here today, she would too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wanting to speak during public comment? Okay, Council President, I do not see any other hands being raised.
Okay, Peggy, thank you. Next on the agenda is resolution